Alright everybody, KM6BJK here, Derek. I just wanted to make a little video showing how to tear down an FT-891 control head. I bought this one used, the whole radio, and it came a little bit of, let me get a better picture, a little bit of wobble in the knob there, which is really irritating because it's just enough. Of course I can do it right now, but yeah, as you can see, when you're trying to spin, just rub your finger on one side of the knob, it doesn't like it. It's got too much wobble. So I picked up a replacement encoder, which I'll take out of the bag and show closer later. There's your part number right there. It was, I don't know, $6-7 with shipping, or plus shipping, so, you know, not too bad considering the alternative is to buy a new one of these. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll just make clips here showing how to tear this apart. First thing we're going to do, we're going to pull these two knobs off, followed by this larger surround. And that can take a bit of force. I will show you after I do that. Okay, everybody, Derek from the future here with a correction to that last statement. To get this apart, now that I've had it apart and put it back together, I've realized that all we really need to do is remove this one knob, because this, there we go, this pair, or this set, is an assembly that's, bolted to the case and not the circuit board, and same with the main VFO knob. So really all you do, you pull this guy off. It'll take a little bit of force, but it's just a friction fit, and then you're going to remove the 4 screws on the back and the 2 over there, and then I think I'll be able to cut back into my other clips here. Alrighty, and I skipped pointing out the 4 screws to remove on the back. It's just 2 on the left there and the 2 on the right. Once you have it open, there's a few connectors you need to do. This one has a small white tab that you need to pry up. It'll lift up and kind of rotate forward. All of these you need to be very careful with. This one has this black tab that you need to lift up. Again, just very careful. This one you unplug from the connector there. And when it sits in there, you can kind of get your fingernails, one on each side, and lift straight up. And then these 2 flat flex cables, you're able to just pull straight out of the socket. You don't need to release anything. They're, be careful, but it's a little bit of force. And then we just have to remove this bottom screw on the left and the one over here on the top right, and the circuit board should lift out. Alrighty, I've cut the legs off the old one and desoldered all the little pins that were just left in the hole, and I got the new one in there, and it is, well, as straight as I can. It definitely doesn't have any wobble, and it's sitting flat against the PCB, so hopefully it's lined up. Alrighty, I'll start documenting the reassembly process. Alrighty, here we are with the main knob, the 2 flat flex cables, the display flat flex, ribbon cable, and the volume RF gain cable done back in. I would do this one kind of before you finish seating the circuit board, so I'd kind of set it here, maybe pull this wire through, and then connect this one, because I had a bit of a pain getting that to seat with it all here. But these ones were pretty easy. You'll find these ones push in a little easier than they pulled out, which is nice. I mean, it's clearly meant for assembly. So yeah, I think I think our screws are here and there. I'll review my last video and put those back in and put the rear cover on. And there we are. If you remember before, that visible wobble. No more visible wobble, and I can, well, with 2 hands I can scroll it with the side of my thumb like I was hoping. Alrighty, hook it back up to the radio, make sure it works. Here we are. Main dial works. Volume works. RF squelch works, and most importantly, button works, and the encoder works. There we go, all fixed. Alrighty, I've got that part way off now, and I just wanted to show, or to say, that what I do is I kind of spin it around, and you know, I'll pry the edge up with my fingernail a little bit, or you know, I'm pushing it. Sorry, I'm holding the camera, but you know, I take my fingernail and I'm doing that, right? I'm trying to push it this way, and I'll, you know, do that and move it an eighth turn, do that, move it an eighth turn, and you know, it takes 2 or 3 go arounds before it gets loose like this, and then once you're here, I won't do it one-handed, but it'll just come right off. Alrighty, up next, after you get the rubber off, you'll have access to the set screw in there, which the camera isn't quite picking up, but you know, it's just the dark part down there. And you use a 2mm Allen key, and I'd make sure to use something, you know, use the right size, because you don't want to mess up that set screw. It does have some Loctite pre-applied onto the set screw. I know from the last time I took this apart, just to figure out this process initially. So you just, you know, back it off like 1 turn, no need to take it out all the way. And then it just slides right off, and there you go. You can see it's a weighted, you know, weighted knob. Up next, we'll be removing these 2 screws, and there's a bit of a kind of stack up of parts here. Actually, it goes plastic, felt, plastic. You can just see that. My other piece of plastic stuck on the knob there, but you can see that sits on there. And yeah, so there's a wave spring under here also, so just be careful when you take that apart. It won't go shooting, but you know, don't dump it on the ground. Alrighty, so you remove your 2 screws. I got one sitting over there already. This guy will lift off. Keep it organized. And now you have the wave spring and the adjustment knob for setting, you know, the preload on your knob. Alrighty. Up next is this little guy that can be a pain in the butt. I'm sure there's a correct socket for the job. I don't have it. So what I end up doing is I've taken 2 flathead screwdrivers, you know, and I'll hold one in each hand and put them in there, and then, you know, go in opposite directions. And that's something you're going to want to be careful with. Hopefully, if someone knows the right size or type of socket to make that easier, we'll get that in the comments. But yeah, this knob is separately replaceable. So maybe it actually just pulls out of the circuit board if you don't do that. We'll see when we get in there a little further. Yeah, up next I think is just this last nut down here. I'll go find the right socket for that, and then I set some screws on the back and the whole thing should come apart. Alrighty, so it is a 12mm socket, fits on there perfectly. And also just another note about this guy, both of these 2 are just normal lefty-loosey.